All right, do some news. All right, so our first news story of the day is going to be for Superman Legacy, the James Gunn Superman film. The reboot of Superman is coming, and we finally have our Superman and Lois. And our Superman is played by David Consuit and Rachel Bronson. Yeah, Bronson.
Yeah.
I believe it's yeah. People that know Rachel Brosnahan, she was in Marvel's Mrs. Maisels, is one thing that people might know her from. She was also on the show Blacklist for a bit, things like that. David Cornsweet, kind of an unknown, kind of relatively unknown guy. He was in the movie Pearl. He was in that as the projectionist, and that the one who gets, I think he gets killed with a pitchfork, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets killed with a pitchfork there. I'm sorry, Rachel Brosnahan. She wasn't in Blacklist. It was House of Cards. I'm sorry, House of Cards.
Yeah, she was good in House of Cards. I think you were thinking of the Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Yeah, Marvelous Miss Maisel. Yeah. So she was in that. Yeah. Blacklist, things like that. So, yeah. So it kind of continues the trend of having Superman actors who are kind of not huge names when they first get cast to the role. Brendan Routh wasn't a huge name when he got cast as Superman. He was just a stage actor, play actor at the time when he got cast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of his casting was motivated behind him just looking a lot like Christopher Reeves. He looked very similar to Christopher Reeves. And I don't know if the motivation behind David Cornsweet's casting is that he looks quite a bit like Henry Cavill.
He looks like a very young Henry Cavill.
I mean, the same kind of jawline, the same kind of facial kind of structure. Some people said he kind of looks like a mix between Henry Cavill and Cillian Murphy.
I can see that.
Like he kind of looks like a mix between that, between the two. I was like, I could kind of in the eyes, I could kind of see that a little bit with the eyes and everything like that. I was like, I could kind of see that. But yeah, so he is 29 and he's a tall guy. He's 6'4". So he's a tallish guy there. I don't know, what I mean? It's always a thing like, how well is he kind of going to do, everything like that. Also, I would say, just talking about his looks real quick, I also say he kind of looks like the dude from 50 Shades of Grey a little bit. What's that actor's name? Jesus, what's that actor's name? Damn, I'm blanking on it. But anyway, he kind of looks kind of similar like that. He looks like a lot of different white dudes. Okay, he looks like a lot of other different kind of white dudes you've probably seen before. But yeah, so what kind of is your thoughts on this casting? Thoughts on this Superman and Lois? Get kind of, are you what are you looking? Are you looking forward to Superman Legacy? Do you think Gunn's going to do a good job with Superman? Let me get some of your thoughts there.
Honestly, at this point, I don't have a lot of faith in the DCEU at this point. He has an uphill battle, unfortunately, to win back a lot of people. Most of their the Snyderverse never really truly got off the ground, even from the beginning. While visually Man of Steel is impressive, it fundamentally didn't understand the Superman character. Zack Snyder never really did understand the Superman character. So then when they did Batman v Superman, while it isn't a very beautiful movie, and I think Ben Affleck was a fantastic choice as an older Batman. He just brought it completely. That's the best part of that movie. And then it just then led up to Justice League, which unfortunately had so many different problems. The tragedy in Zack Snyder's life that he had to step away from the film, and then Joss wouldn't be brought in to basically stitch it into a completely new film that didn't please newer fans and didn't please older fans, and Aquaman being one of the only ones that really performed decently despite itself because James Wan. Yeah, he is an uphill battle. I think as casting goes, I think Rachel Brosnahan is a fantastic choice. I think she's a fantastic choice for Lois Lane. She has a lot of credibility as an actress. She was good in The Marvelous Miss Maisel, and I think she was really good in House of Cards back when it was still good. So yeah, I think as far as she's concerned, I think she's good. And with Cornsweet, I I have yet to really see too much with him. Yeah, just like Henry Cavill, he's kind of a smaller actor that's not going to get thrust in the spotlight. I don't know much about how his acting is going to go, but we'll see. A lot of people said, no, he's not bulk enough. I'm like, trust me, the bulking up's not going to be a problem. They'll get him on the bulk. That's fine. There's
Yeah.
many ways they can get him to get. They'll get him on that Marvel routine. They'll get him in abs in no time of a professional trainer. That's all that. Uh,
Also,
honestly, yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say also, I don't think Superman has to be that big.
No,
Like, Henry Cavill, I mean, him being in that shape, I mean, that's awesome, great for
yeah,
him. But I don't think Superman has to be that
no,
big.
no.
Though.
Superman is even the show going on right now of Superman and Lois. I think the actor who portrays him is really good. He really does feel like he's got abs. He's well defined, but he's defined in a way that is unassuming. That's what Clark Kent is. He's the unassuming everyman who has the ability, who just happens to be super powerful. That's all Superman really needs to be. He's just an individual who does good, who because it's the right thing to do. So he doesn't have to be built like a dump truck in order for him to do it. In fact, it kind of hinders him blending in as Clark Kent. So
Yeah.
it'll be fine. The movie qualities aside, I wish them both the best of luck, because right now we're kind of suffering through oversaturation of superheroes. We've been doing it for a while now, and I think a lot of people are just tired. They want a break from it.
Hmm. Yeah. And that kind of going to lead into our topic about the Flash and the Flash kind of not doing so well, and kind of bombing there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we'll see. I mean, Gunn. We'll see kind of what he does. I love Gunn. I love what he's done with the superhero stuff. I haven't hated a Gunn superhero movie. I loved his Guardians movies. I loved his Suicide Squad movie. Even Super. You know what I mean? That
Oh,
that movie.
oh, that
Yeah,
was
with
fun. Yeah.
yeah, so I loved a lot of his work there with a lot of the superhero stuff. When will this come out? Because I thought James Gunn said he was taking a break because he wanted to stand in solidarity with the writers during the writers' strike. So he's kind of taking a break
It's
there.
a
So I
good
don't know
move.
when exactly this is going to be. This is probably going to be a while, which is probably good.
That's
That's
good.
going to be a while for it to come out because, like you said, we've kind of seen a lot of these kind of superhero movies recently not do so well. So that kind of leads into another topic here about the Flash and the Flash kind of being a box office disaster. So this is from the Daily Express. And it says that Warner Brothers set to lose over 200 million in box office bomb catastrophe.
Oof.
You see Warner Brothers, yeah. So you see here, film studios regularly make gambles at the box office, giving budgets of hundreds of millions of dollars to movies that could be huge hits or box office bombs. The latest, it seems, is Warner Brothers DC comic book movie The Flash, which had a budget of 200 to 220 million and currently has global takings of only 215 million. Which I
Yikes.
have to imagine that budget has to be way higher because they delayed this so much
Oh yeah.
to remarket the movie. Because this movie, The Flash, was supposed to come out what 4 years ago, five
Yeah.
years, like.
It's supposed to be
Uh,
coming in the middle of the DCEU.
yeah. So I can only imagine the production budget on that has to be much, much higher. Warner Brothers also faced a challenge with the movie given the controversy surrounding the title star Ezra Miller's private life and the fact that the movie is at the tail end of the DC franchise. That's about to be a massive reboots. After mixed reviews, The Flash brought back Michael Keaton's Batman after nearly 30 years. Looks like it's facing a monumental loss. The blockbuster's second week of box office drop of 73% was the second worst for a comic book movie after Jared Leto's Morbius.
Damn.
Yeah, geez. So I think you talked about people are tired of superheroes. If this had came out before the Guardians 3 and before Across the Spider-Verse, then I could say like, oh yeah, maybe super fatigue maybe really is a thing and maybe people are really tired of it. But
Right.
Across the Spider-Verse and Guardians 3 did really well.
They did. I think they were
Um
both superior movies too.
Yeah, which is also another thing. They also were very, very good movies. Um, which that always is an indication how well a movie do. Good movies do
No.
poor. Bad movies do great. Jurassic World, Transformers movies. Those typically are not the best movies. They make billions of dollars. Good movies. You know what I mean? Like something like maybe like what Everything Everywhere at Once, which did make
Yeah.
a lot of money.
It
That
did.
did make that. It did make a lot of money, but it didn't make like $1 billion. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm
No.
just saying, it always isn't going to be in the case. Like, and not to crap on the Mario movie, but the Mario movie is not as good as maybe something like Across the Spider Verse, right? It's
The
just
Mario movie is fine. It has a lot of problems, mostly from like fan stuff. It's got a basic story, but it did its job, and it made a boatload of money, and they're definitely greenlighting sequels. I
yeah,
would hope that in the next sequels we get a lot more character and maybe refinement of these characters, so what closer to what they are in the actual maybe like games and lore. But that's wishful thinking. But as a movie, there's a visual treat. It did match it on that merit.
yeah, great looking movie. Great looking
Mm.
movie. But I just don't think it had the storytelling is
Oh
probably
no, no,
as
no.
much as something Across the
Yeah,
Spider Verse there. But yeah, so you mentioned in that with the Flash, just giving some reasons potentially for its failure here at the box office. Like I said, it being delayed as much as it has been. Like I said, this movie's supposed to come out 4 years ago. A lot of people kind of went like, oh, this movie's coming out now. Oh, okay. Like, and so many different hands that this movie had went through, so many different directors, so many different writers that it kind of came on the project. Is the stuff with Ezra Miller? Did that play a factor as well? I'm sure it did. I mean, I'm
oh
sure
yeah,
there's some people, but not, I don't think, a huge factor because there's plenty of actors who've done comparable stuff or worse stuff. And there, people go see their movies. People will just go see the movie if it's that good of a movie. And I think, this movie, maybe the hype got to it where this early action, and I had heard it too, from people that had saw the movie early. You were seeing all these celebrities come out and talk about it, like Stephen King and Tom Cruise and James Gunn. I mean, of course, James Gunn is going to say it, though. Of course, he's going to say the movie's good. I mean, what is he going to? The movie's a piece of it. So, of course, he's going to say it. So, I don't take his word.
hmm
But they were saying, like, this is amazing. This is transformative. This is the greatest superhero movie ever. This is the best DC movie ever. This is the best comic book movie ever. This is genre, defining and everything like this. And it's like that was already Across the Spider Verse. That was already a genre defining great transcended comic book movie there. And when you look at Spider Verse, what it did with animation and what it did with that stuff, it changed the landscape of animation. It really did. When you look at a lot of stuff, it did. And when people, I think, finally saw the Flash, it just was kind of like it's okay. It's
yeah,
just okay. You know what I mean? I think I liked it maybe a little bit more than you did because you gave it a skip it. I'd give it more of like a stream it somewhere along there. I do see what people see about Ezra Miller, their performance here. I do think there's some good emotional moments of that work. Do I think that it's like I can't see anyone else playing the Flash but them? Not really. No, I can see other actors coming in and playing the Flash perfectly fine and doing just as good of a job. I don't think it's a movie that's overtaken by Batman or by Michael Keaton, but but Supergirl and Batman don't show up till the last 30, 20 minutes of the movie.
yeah.
So it's kind of like when they do show up, it's like, oh, okay. I
I
mean,
wish they had been in more.
yeah, especially Supergirl who only shows up like the stuff you see of her in the trailer. That's the stuff.
That's
That's all
it.
that's it. I mean, that's all her scenes right there. And, so it's like, yeah, I wish it's hard to even form an opinion on her because she's only in the last bit of it. Um, so yeah, I think that had something to do. I think it being delayed, the fact that the word of mouth on it was really supposed to help, I think, carry this movie like it does sometimes word of mouth. Like we saw that last year with a lot of different movies, like with Barbarian, with what's that movie? With the clown,
It.
Sinister. No. I was talking about the clown movie, not the clown. What is he? Yeah, he's a clown, isn't he? That movie, Sinister. I think not Sinister. Damn, what was the name of that movie?
It.
No. It was the movie with the dude who was like a mime and he didn't talk.
Oh,
Uh, uh, damn, what was that movie? I can't remember the name of it. Damn. But anyway, you saw a lot of the word of mouth kind of carry it and kind of help those movies out. And I think Flash needed that. And I think it has a B cinema score, which usually is not very good.
no.
For a movie. Usually you want to kind of see that with usually gets A's. Typically that's what you kind of want to see from a cinema score, and it didn't get that. So I think that plus the combination of the Ezra Miller stuff. What kind of some of the reasons you think that this movie isn't performing as well?
Well, I think it's a combination of many things. I think there genuinely is the subject of what a lot of public sees superhero movies being, which is big spectacle, not much story, not much character, just big spectacle with sprinklings of a few details here and there. I think it also came after two better superhero movies, proving that it wasn't a superhero thing. But I do think it's a combination of just the superhero oversaturation that Marvel's been doing. DCU never fully lifted off, and now why should I go see the Flash movie when they're just going to redo all of this? It's the
Mm,
same thing me and people are probably going to think with Aquaman 2 and Blue Beetle. Why should I watch either of these if they're just going to reboot everything, which is 12 years of progress down the drain, all as to start on something new? Uh, I think also just the Ezra Miller thing. I think you said it was a small thing. A lot of people didn't really make a big deal of it. I think it actually is quite a big deal. It sends a big message. They fired Henry Cavill, got rid of him, even though they said nope, he's coming back, and then not 2 days later, nope, I'm removing him from my DC universe now. That's a big deal, and they kept Ezra Miller. Everyone else is being replaced, but Ezra Miller. You mean the guy who's like the guy who basically has had all this stuff? It sends a bad message. It sends a wait. So you guys have thrown away people who were just accused of things, didn't actually do it. Proven is like didn't actually go to any court, didn't go through any legal aspect, didn't do anything. Were vaguely accused of something, but you guys immediately amputated. But this guy is the guy you're sticking by. This is the guy you want to be in all the rest of the Flash movies. For a lot of people, they're voting with their wallets. They're like, I'm not going to support that. I'm not going to support that decision. I don't care about this universe because it doesn't. It's going to be rebooted. And money wise, why would I watch the Flash when I can watch Across the Spider Verse again or Guardians 3 again?
mm, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you think about like I don't know what's going to happen with Gal Gadot. I don't know what's going to happen
Yeah,
with Jason Momoa. Are they going to stick
yeah,
around?
yeah,
I don't really know. But they got rid of Ray Fisher. They got rid of Henry Cavill. They're
yeah.
not coming back.
Netflix
Uh,
quit.
yeah, Ben Affleck. Who
He quit.
yeah, he quit. Well, speaking of things with the Flash movie that I liked, I did like him as
It
I've always liked Ben
yeah.
Affleck as Batman. I've always
No, he
liked him
was
as
a
Batman.
good choice as an older Batman. I thought, like I said before, I thought it was a great choice. And actually, his last moment was actually a nice little linchpin for this type of character. It was a nice little moment of the whole conversation of like scars of who we are. It was like an older gentleman finally coming to terms with the pain he had been feeling for this long time because he had found it through this teamwork that he had been
Yeah.
building with these other characters, and he just realized and disposed a bit of wisdom, like a final bit of wisdom. And I thought it was a nice like cherry on top of that performance. It's like, man, you and Henry deserve so much better for your roles, because I would have loved to seen an older, more serious Batman for longer in this team, being treated more seriously, being kind of seen as a kind of like an older, wiser character. Maybe not necessarily the leader of the group, but just a like I'm gonna hit hard or hit back. But it's nice kind of having like an older ish figure helping out Barry and just to work and just exposing wisdom. It was a great little scene. I honestly, both Batmans did a great job. If it was nothing but just different Batmans of various qualities, I watched that movie. Just like a movie of just the different Batmans having to solve a problem in a time paradox.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I've always really liked him as Batman, Ben Affleck, and
We
I've
get
always
Spider-Verse, let's get Batverse.
Batverse, yeah, all the different Batmans there. Yeah, so and he has a great scene in here. In the Flash that I quite a bit liked. But yeah, I like you said. I mean, I think is the brand another reason why this movie failed? Is it just because the brand is just tainted? It's DC Comics because you look at like the super movies that have failed this year. One of the common denominators is that they're all DC movies. Black Adam, Shazam 2,
Mm.
also failed. Is it just because just the brand is just tainted? And I don't know how much the general public follow this news and these changes and everything like that. Of like, do they know like the big shakeup that happened and James Gunn took over and then they're going to reboot the universe and all this other stuff like that? Do most people even know that stuff or follow that stuff? I mean, we do because it's our job to do that, but we follow this comic stuff, but do most people know that? And it's interesting to see if I don't know if is that the general thought. And thinking about the last big hit that they've had, that was Aquaman, and that was I'm just talking about purely from a commercial
Yeah.
standpoint. That was Aquaman, and that came out in 2018. So that was 5 years ago that happened. That Aquaman made $1 billion. And it's like, yeah, because the rest of their movies have not done so well. Some have done well critically, but they haven't done well financially. And a lot of that had to do with COVID sometimes, and there was that happened that hit studios hard. But then now that we've kind of gotten out of COVID, it's like they haven't seen any big successes there. Black Adam was supposed to be pitched as like, hey, it's the hierarchy of power is finally changing in the DC universe, and not shit changed. And Shazam 2, which already you're following up the first Shazam, which the first Shazam didn't even do all that well. It was lucky it even got a sequel, kind of.
Yeah.
And that also didn't do well, which I thought Shazam 2 was okay. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it was just kind of okay. And with the Flash, which you're doing your very first Flash movie, and you're doing Flashpoint Paradox,
Yeah.
and you're doing all this, and it's like, how much people do people even know about the character of the Flash in this whole universe? Like who are they as a character? And in a way, watching the movie, I was like, I'm glad that we're not doing another origin movie of like, this is how he got his speed, and here's he's trying to learn how to be a hero and all this stuff. Like, he's already a hero, and he's already doing his thing, which I kind of like. He's already got his suit, he's already got his ring, that the infamous Flash ring that pops out the costume, which I thought that was cool that they have all that. But I think in when you have a character kind of go through an origin story, part of that is you're growing with the character. Like, people kind of like that learning their powers montage a little bit, because it's kind of like, this would be like what you would do if you had these powers, and they kind of do that somewhat with the whole kind of younger Barry and older Barry. And they kind of do that somewhat there of like him being a more mentor figure there to the younger Barry, which I think that kind of worked. And allowed him to kind of do things of like, oh, I kind of get now how I look amongst people. I kind of get that now. But yeah, so I think some of that's kind of lost on people of like, this character as like the Flash, Barry Allen, who are they, as kind of a character, really. And the humor in the movie too. I guess I get kind of what Andy Muschietti was going for there, of like more slapstick, more kind of like almost like something like what Sam Raimi did with Spider-Man movies, the Spider-Man movies, like a little bit more goofier with the kind of superhero stuff.
They didn't go as far as the Sam Raimi movies went. And there's one element of those Sam Raimi movies this one didn't have, and that was earnesty. Those ones are painfully earnest, powerfully earnest, and that's what makes those movies. Yeah, they're all schlocky and earnest and a little guilty pleasures, but there's so much heart and warmth in those Spider-Man movies that this movie just didn't have.
Yeah. You didn't feel it with the stuff with the mother, though? You didn't think that was good?
That's the only part. No, I felt that was the more genuine parts, but parts don't make a whole.
Yeah. I agree. Like you said, with Blue Beetle, Aquaman coming out, they're coming out later this year. Given the performance of these movies that we've seen now, I don't have too much faith in that they're going to do very well. Which is a shame, because Blue Beetle, I want to see a good Blue Beetle movie, and I want to see it do really well. Because if Blue Beetle bombs, who knows where we're going to get another Blue Beetle movie? You know what I mean? Like, who knows when that may ever happen again? I mean, with like if this had been a Superman movie and it bombed, you're going to get another Superman movie. Like, don't worry. Like, if it fails, you're going to get another one. If Batman fails, you're going to get another Batman movie. But some characters like Blue Beetle, if that bombs, like, when we're going to get another one. Aquaman 2, Like I said, that was the last hit that they had, was Aquaman 2. And will it kind of replicate the success of the first Aquaman? Given the track record of these DC movies, it seems like I don't think so. I don't think it will. Maybe, it has something to do with the competition that it's going against. Like June, we talked about it beforehand. It just was a stacked month. Like you had this, you had Indiana Jones, you got Transformers, you had Spider-Man, you got Little Mermaid, you had Fast X. It's just like some of this stuff was just stacked on top of each other that it just, a lot of stuff just can't breathe. But I don't think anybody predicted that the Flash would do this poorly. And be
No.
like on a bomb on historic levels, like something like, even like comparing it to something like a Lone Ranger. I don't think anybody predicted that. I thought a lot of people thought it would be the biggest movie of the summer, compared to all the other ones. So yeah, especially given how big this budget is. And a lot of these movies coming out this summer have big budgets. Like Indiana Jones has a budget of over 200 million. So did Little Mermaid. Fast X had a budget of 300 something million. Like all these huge budgets, and some of that has a lot to do with the production, the delaying of it. Like Fast X, that had changed directors and they had to stop and do all that stuff there. And then also like with the Flash, like we mentioned, the delays there that happened, that also kind of to raise in production costs. But it's kind of funny. Warner Brothers, they scrapped Batgirl, thinking like, well, we got to put
Yeah.
all our stuff into the Flash. That's what's gonna do it for us. This is gonna
Gonna
be the big
save
hit.
us.
This is gonna save us. And then this shit is sinking like a fucking rock. I was like, Jesus, holy crap. So that kind of makes it kind of funny that they were like, yeah, Batgirl, we're just gonna cut that loose because that's gonna lose us money. And this Flash is losing them a lot of money. You know what I mean? So yeah, that is yeah, that is kind of funny there. That's kind of what they did that. But yeah. Javon Good said, did he make the ring? Didn't see the Flash. I'd assume so. Yeah, that's what he made the ring. Barry Allen did in it. The
Yeah,
iconic
he made the
Flash.
ring. He said
And
it
then
himself.
he said also, damn, Supergirl is fine. Yeah, she
She
is.
is. No, she is. I was about to
Sasha,
say that. She actually I thought she was actually pretty cute in the move. Pretty good looking overall. The costume fit look well. I think yeah, it's actually a shame that we didn't get to see more of that version of Kara, but I mean, the movie's got a movie, and this movie is a hot mess already. So, but yeah, I thought it would be done. I thought it would end okay. I did not think it was going to be this much of a bomb.
yeah. That really surprised me. Yeah. Um, yeah. And Sasha Kai, I mean, she's the one that's mainly doing press for this movie, obviously, because Ezra Miller can't. So obviously,
Yeah,
so she's going around doing all this press for this movie. And she's only in the movie for the last like 20 minutes of it. So
yeah,
it's hard to really form an opinion. Like I said, her as Supergirl, like I think there could have been some good stuff with her. It's just that I mean, you can't really get to know her much as a character, which is
right.
a shame, that you really can't. But yeah, I mean, and supposedly, like at the end of the movie, she was supposed to come back. Like there's set photos of her, at the last scene of the movie, but I guess they scrapped that. It was supposed to be her and Michael Keaton, but I guess they scrapped that, and they were like, okay, let's do George Clooney for some reason.
There,
Like,
okay, so there are 6 to 7 to 8 different endings, depending on what happened. So originally, it was going to be with it was going to be with Supergirl and Keaton. Then there's a version where it's Superman and Ben Affleck, with Henry Cavill in there as well. And then there's one where it's just Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck. And then there's one where it's like a mix between some of that, and then they ended up going with the joke one, which was, well, what if we just have a cameo of one? And then they joked, well, what about George Clooney? And they joked, and then they went with that. And so it ends up being a joke instead of it ending on the conversation that Ben Affleck had with him about time travel, and that there's just some things you can't change. And had the rest, there's also an ending that just had the entire Justice League waiting for him at the end of the steps, congratulating him, and the regular clothes, regular people. Clark Kent was the reporter asking him how is it along with like Iris, asking him questions. So that would have been like a wink and a nod. It was a much more congealed movie, but this movie went through so many different heads of WB's DC department, and they got let go, and their visions changed, and so they went with this joke one, which ultimately doesn't service anything.
Yeah, that's like I went like, what the fuck? Like, who the fuck wants to see George Clooney back as Batman? Like, the fuck is that supposed to mean?
That's funny. I
You,
laughed.
oh, you laugh? I just was kind of
Because
like,
I couldn't believe it.
yeah.
Not laughing because I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, hey, who could have predicted that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
George Clooney popping out the car. I thought it was gonna be Michael Keaton. I thought it was gonna be him.
There is another edit where it is Michael Keaton. They shot it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Whatever. That's what they did though. So it's like, okay, sure. Yeah. I was for sure. I thought they were gonna replace Ezra Miller as the Flash. I was like, with this multiverse shit, I was like, I'm you gotta get them out of here. Like you can't keep them here.
Yeah.
Like you gotta get them out of here. But I guess they're like, nah, like that. This is our guy. You know what I mean? Like you said, like they were like, we can see no one else playing the Flash.
Ride
like,
or
really?
die for Ezra Miller.
Really? For Ezra? Yeah. This is who you gonna go to? Really? You can't see anyone else. Really?
No.
Okay.
No. Look, man, they couldn't go with Garland. They couldn't go with that guy who's been playing the Flash for so long on that TV show. Get him to have a shot in the movies. He'd be a way better older Flash, like a mid-30s Flash. Go for it. Yeah, Javon Good. It would have been hilarious if it was Joseph Gordon-Levitt stepped out of the car. That would have actually blown a lot of people's minds. Like, what? Christopher Nolan? Yeah, they could replace Flash with Roderick Kidd from Dire of Big Kid. Damn it.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
I didn't. Did you guys? I don't think I heard your thoughts on it. Did you talk about the Easter eggs at the end?
Oh, we didn't really talk about the drinking with Aquaman and the last after credits scene, which, by the way, was supposed to be longer, and it was originally going to be where he lets Aquaman sleep it off at his place, and he opens up his computer, and the chat opens, and it's Henry Cavill, Superman, and Batfleck Batman, and they were going to try to contact him through his computer or some crap and say something as, Barry, what have you done? He's like, what have you done? You're in the wrong time. You're in the wrong timeline. Basically, essentially allowing the Snyderverse to exist in its own continuity, but now Barry's in a different continuity now.
Okay.
I
was mostly referring to like where they do the whole big dump at the end, where it's like Christopher Reeves and George Reeves.
Oh God, yeah, we didn't. That wasn't during our spoiler review.
Oh, okay.
Great for Kevin Smith fans. Way to wait for like over a decade for that to see the Thanagarian Snare Beast, and just it's so weird seeing such weird CGI versions of these characters that I've known. And Nicolas Cage was what could have been Superman.
Yeah. Did you? That's another thing. I think the effects in this movie look so bad. Yeah. I think that's another thing too.
It's terrible.
That's probably what added to the failure too. It just the effects look so fucking bad.
Look, they had already spent so much money on this movie. There was just a certain point where they just went, screw it. We're already going to lose money on this thing. Just let's stop adding money to this.
Yeah. And he tried to come up with a reason, like, well, it's because Barry's in the Speed Force, and that's the way he sees.
Get the hell out of here.
He sees things. Like, nah, bro, that's just shitty CGI.
No,
bro.
Yeah, that's no. You know what it is. You know what it is.
Yeah. And then some people like those as like Easter eggs. They were like, Nicolas Cage is Superman. It's finally the dream has come true. It's like, man, what more could you ask for? It's like I could ask for a lot fucking more than that, but okay. Him in that fruit roll up ass looking Superman suit, but okay. Yeah. So Flash bombing, and we got a new Superman.
Flash in the pan of a grossing income.
Yeah. So we're gonna be heading out, people. Thank you, Javon Good. Thanks for stopping by, man. Thank you, Marvelous Film. Thank you, Javon Good, for the 100. The
Mm.
same day, I'm going to be doing one part. 6 p.m. We're going to be doing where we review 6 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow. We're going to be doing Flashpoint Paradox, and we're going to be doing Transformers the movie, and then I'm going to be doing Black Stuff's podcast is going to be joining me for Flashpoint Paradox and Transformers the movie. And then I'm going to be doing Set It Off probably by myself if I'm going to be joining. Six p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to be joined by Chris Ayers. We're going to be doing Asteroid City. We're going to be doing Elemental. We're going to be doing The Blackening, and then maybe doing that movie, the Kraken My Ass, or whatever that movie, Kraken. Let the Kraken be free, or some
Ruby
shit.
Gilman.
Yeah, whatever. So we're going to be doing that maybe. So yeah, we're going to be doing that maybe Sunday as well. So yeah, I'm gonna be looking for somebody to raid, and then we're gonna be heading out of here. So let's see. Vanish Fears. Dennis. I haven't raided anybody in a minute. I'm gonna raid Vanish Fears since he's
There you go.
playing that for some Final Fantasy. There you go. Good show. Thank you, Dusk. Long show.
Absolutely.
Let's see. How long was this show? How long have we been on? I think about an hour and 40. Let's see. How long have we been on? Yeah, about 2 hours. Okay, about 2 hours that we've been on. Talking about a very different stuff. Did reviews for No Hard Feelings. Did reviews for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Also, the review for Secret Invasion. Did a review for all that stuff. So, very, very nice. Next week, what comes out next week? Oh, that movie Joyride, I think. Comes out next week? Is that what comes out? Let me see. Let me look at the calendar here. Yeah, next week is Joyride. So I think that's the big movie that's coming out next week. It's like Asian girls trip or bridesmaids, I guess you want to say. Thank you again, John. Good. Thank you for the extra 200, other 200 bits there. So make it round that out to 300 there. So there. Yeah. Do you know any Asian women, Dusk?
Why put me on the spot like that?
Well, just say wanted to see if I wanted to come on for the review. Joyride, it seems like a movie that's going to have a lot of like cultural references and everything like that. Because from the trailer, it's like one girl who she grows up with her Asian family, but then the one girl she's adopted by white parents. So it seems like there's a little bit of a cultural divide there going on. So it seems like it's going to be a cultural reference. So I want to know.
None that would appear at my podcast. No, probably not.
Okay. All right, people. So I'm gonna rate Vanity Fears. Dust, it was a pleasure for you to come on and get me back on next Friday. You can join.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
See Joyride.
I'll see Joyride.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right, people. Let me play the outro here. That's loud. Okay. So, hey, people. You can also all the social media. All Afternoon Tune. If you want to send us an email, you can do so at theafternoontune@gmail.com. If you want to see us streaming, we're streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/afternoon. Usually Friday, Saturday is when we're typically streaming. And if you want to see us on, if you can't make the streams, we're also on YouTube, youtube.com, The Afternoon Tune. Just type that in and we'll be able to find us. Trying to get it to 600 subs. Let's get to 600 subs by end of July. Let's do that. Let's do that. I'm trying to make it to 1,000 by the end of this year. We should be already at 1,000 already, but I'm trying to make it to 1,000 by the end of this year. I'm trying to make that a goal. So yeah, tell everybody about the Afternoon Tune. Like, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff that helps boost up the show there on the algorithm, the good old YouTube, so more people can do that and more people can follow us. Also wherever you listen to podcasts, so Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, all that good stuff there. We're also there. You can listen to our silky, sweet voices. If you can't look at us on YouTube or Twitch, you can do that there. And if you see us on any of those platforms like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure to leave a good 5-star review. That helps boost up the podcast a whole lot and does a lot for us there. Just those simple things that you can do for free. So, Vanny Spears, he's not, he got off. He raided somebody. Let me do somebody else then. Endless Cemetery. They're playing some Diablo. Okay, that's Diablo 4. I'm gonna rate them. So yeah, everybody. Thanks again. All right. I'll be doing that. So stay tuned.